Hi, and welcome to 108 Healing Senses. My name is Jennifer Taylor, and I'm so happy to welcome and introduce Anne Jirsch, the founder of FutureVision Coaching and Future Life Training. Please, Future Life Progression Training as well. So please, I'll hand over to you.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. Kind of scuppered that intro, but I'll let you introduce yourself properly. I know you have got many years of wisdom under your belt, and I've trained with you. I've done future life progression FLP training with you, where we go past and present, future. And it is a pleasure and an honor to have you on the podcast. So thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Well, yeah, you're right. I've been around a long time. I've been in this field a long time, and I don't do false modesty. I really have done most things the hard way. It's not been an easy journey. So when people say you've done well, go, I should be after 45 years working in this field. So it's been a lot of work. I've learned a lot along the way. And so I started out reading cards. I still read cards. I love reading cards. There's something about cards that just, they talk to me. And I think that happens with some people when they work with cards, they just talk to you. You know, you're not reading the cards after a while. It's all just coming to you. So I did that for many, many years. I really had this burning desire to work with past life regression. I just found that so fascinating. I'd hear stories and people would tell me an experience they had. And I thought, oh, God, it's so magical. It's so incredible. It makes so much sense. It can explain so much. But, you know, going back all those years, you couldn't Google anyone, didn't have computers back then. So I could never find a regressionist. But when I did eventually have an experience, it was way beyond. It made so much sense. It was so profound. And so I knew I had to train, because this is why I trained in clinical hypnotherapy. There was no trainings anywhere. So I just thought, okay, I better get some sort of a certificate. Back then you felt you needed a certificate. So I went and got a trained in clinical hypnotherapy, and that was really phenomenal. Then I wrote my own scripts and just started working with that happily. Everyone was different. Everyone, you know, I meet people that have had years of training in past life, and I just go, you don't, because the first one you have will be nothing like you've been taught. Each one is so unique. You can't, it's more working instinctively. So that was phenomenal. And then one day I had some military guys come to see me, and they wanted to find out something from the past. So we did some sessions. We ended up going forward. And what we saw was the attack on Twin Towers 3 weeks before it happened. And that changed the whole course of my life. I just seeing that. And then we started to experiment more, and we consistently predicted world events, consistently. So, we consistently predicted world events. Then I started working with individuals and taking them forward, and what they saw happened. But the bit that really got me was that it was happening much sooner. And that was the bit I just thought, right, it takes so long to get to where we want to be.
Yeah.
And as I say, I've taken a long time to get to where I am. Once I started working with this, I fast-tracked. My life fast-tracked. My whole life changed within 3 months. And I'm doing that with people all the time. So they go, it wasn't 5 years. Within 6 months, I've met the love of my life, or I've started that business or got that job. So that's when I knew I really wanted to work with this. It's my life's work now, working with the future and bringing it into our current consciousness.
It's fabulous. And I have to say, that visionary part, you know, we're not always, as a society, we're not always kind of set up to be visionaries, to think outside the box, to think ahead of time, to be considerate about how things could be better, perhaps, rather than always focused on the past and staying stuck in these kind of trauma loops, cycles. I know I see it often. But I do feel FLP is such a powerful and profound tool that it really kind of snaps you out of things.
Yeah, it's interesting, because one of the things when I started to work with my far distant future self, started going a lot further into the future, my far distant future self, I asked the question, what do we need to know? Because everybody has something that just keeps reoccurring. They see a therapist, read the book, try all these different things, go, but you still have this one thing.
Mm.
And it was very much what you're saying. We're on this loop and we just keep coming back to that point. So I asked the answer, and the answer came back, said that you have to clear the original issue. You clear that original issue, and it could be in your childhood. It could come up through your ancestry. A lot comes up through ancestry. Could be childhood. So I was taught this method by my future self, how to go and find the original incident and clear that. And it is like every time something happens, there's another brick in the wall. So you've got this huge problem, and you
Mm.
take a brick out here with a bit of therapy or reading this technique or whatever.
Yeah.
You've got to take out that original brick, that first brick, and the whole wall comes down. And that was how it was explained to me. So part of the advanced work is learning how to really, really clear that energy that keeps you in that loop, because we're not really clearing it. We're having all this therapy, but we're not actually clearing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know healing generational trauma is really close to my heart. And I can see it. I can see it in families, that trauma that gets passed down to the next generation. And until there's one person that then becomes the black sheep of the family and decides, I'm going to do the complete opposite of what has been kind of entrained into the family gene pool, as how to treat ourselves, how to treat others, and any of the kind of misalignment or the disharmony within mind, body, and spirit can be resolved, or it can continue to be so chaotic and destructive, just generation after generation. So this is really powerful work.
I love working with that, and I've worked with people that have been adopted, and they've got no idea why they got this pattern. But later, when they found their family, so it wasn't anything to do with nurture or anything they already knew. And they would go, why have I got what? One of the, oh God, most dramatic, a guy I grew up with, and he was an outrageous person. I mean, he was in court once. It took 20 minutes to read out his previous offences. Absolutely. And he had various children, but he had two that were immediately adopted by different women, completely adopted. He was murdered, by the way. We were sitting at home one day and you had been shot. So, he was grisly murdered. I always tell these mad stories. My kids go, don't tell that story. Don't tell it. And my grandchildren, don't tell that story now. But yeah, both his children were adopted. They had no idea who their father was or their mother. They were adopted straight away. Because the mother was unfit as well. Both of them went on. Both of them ended up in Broadmoor after committing murder before the age of 20. And it was only somebody went into Broadmoor and was helping people understand their past and helping them go through their genealogy. They found out they were brother and sister.
Wow.
They were both brought up in really good families, really nice families, good, decent people, hardworking. And it really taught me something that there's stuff in us that we don't know. Heart transplants, various transplants, the amount of people that don't have no idea about their donor, but they end up with characteristics of the person's whose organ they ended up receiving. It's just incredible that energy can come up through you. And I love that, clearing the generational stuff. I love working with it. It's just, it's a weird thing, because I love the cutting cords. There's loads of ways to do it. But I was telling somebody recently that when I left home at night, I was 19 and I was going to go off, knotted handkerchief on a stick. Yeah, I'm off around the world. I'm going off travelling, which was quite unusual to go far back then. When I was a teenager, it was you went to Spain if you were adventurous. You didn't go far. So I went off Far East and stuff. And as I left, I felt as if I'd unhooked. I didn't know about energy calls, but I walked out. I did that. It was the weirdest thing. And after that, my family never affected me again. They were lunatics. They never, ever affected me again. I mean, they'd had dysfunctional upbringing. do you know what I mean? Both my parents had the most dysfunctional upbringing, and so they were dysfunctional people. And, we've all got that thing of, I want it to stop. I don't want this to carry on into future generations. I didn't know any of that. I just walked out. I didn't even know why I did it. I just felt, and I never ever felt bothered by them again. I'd go and see them now and again, but they didn't feel connected to me in a way. It's amazing. I love, clearing generational stuff. Amazing, amazing, amazing.
Yeah. It's like that completing of the contract is that you walking out the door was like, that contract of me being child and parent dynamic is now complete.
Yeah. I don't exactly know why I chose you to, but I don't know why I've chose you to. But that's it. We're done. Yeah, we're done.
Yeah. And sometimes it is those kinds of things come up because it's contracts complete. So you don't have to keep that cycle going lifetime after lifetime as well.
Yeah.
So even the challenging times that you may be experiencing in this lifetime, if you're able to remove yourself from the situation or not be attached to any kind of the energies, then you're going to be free. Like, literally, you've completed contracts. You're able to go your separate paths, whatever path you choose to take, but it's the path you choose, not what they've chosen for you.
Absolutely, yeah. And I love the idea that you can change your contract at some point. Just go, yeah, well, I might have agreed to all that, but I ain't going to do it. I ain't going to go for all that. I'm going to go and have some fun or not live in the trauma. I like the idea that we can just go, nah, ripping it up. We've done that in workshops, just got our contracts and ripped them up and gone, yeah, done now.
It's wonderful. But to most people, this is brand new. They'd be like, what, this is a thing? They might see it as in movies or TV as being fantasy, but actually this old energy and contracts, and it's ancient. Like universal law. It's ancient.
It's not serving a purpose now, is it? What? It's just creating negativity. I don't see the point of carrying old energy for the sake of it. For the sake of it, learn the lesson, move on.
Yeah, I agree. It's time to have a good, creative, productive time. And if you're not in it, then change it. That's kind of...
It's an interesting time that we're in now, because before you'd be like Woody Allen said, I've been in therapy 20 years, but I think I'm nearly through. And it'd be tons and tons and tons of therapy. Now we've learned a lot of that come down to Richard Bandler and NLP. Boof, you can change that whole energy dramatically quickly. We're learning so much. So to see somebody, it's interesting with NLP, when people have had a session and they've removed a pattern, because it's almost if the person keeps doing this, it's like they're looking for it. And that's why it's so automatic to go back to that old pattern. It's automatic. So when somebody actually removes it, you're going, oh, this feels really weird. That's gone. So it shows how automatic those old programs are.
Yeah, and how deep they run. Like deep subconscious is like an iceberg. Your consciousness is only really the tip of the iceberg, which is what, 5%, 10%, and then the rest of it's all subconscious. So if you've got all haywired subprogramming, then that's what it's going to be in your life. But when you recognize and you're honest with yourself, that actually, this isn't right, but I can be better and I want to be better. And then using things like FLP to be able to go through time to heal, to complete, to remove.
And just say, I'm done. I just want something better. And we could all get to that point when we just go, I've really had enough. I don't care what I need to do. I'm not. I remember David Bowie. He said he woke up one day and he didn't like himself, and he was in that thin white Duke phase where he said he was not eating, and he weren't well, and I think he was taking a lot of drugs, and he just went, I don't like myself. And he just got up and just said, I'm changing it today. And I love that. Just completely reinvent yourself. We always think we got to spend years and years. No, let's just. So the next day, he went out, bought good clothes, started eating healthy, stopped taking drugs. And it's amazing how you can create a massive shift quickly. And I love that. I'm not very patient. So, going on for years and years and years, talking about childish stuff to me is tedious. That dramatic change, I love people who suddenly reinvent themselves.
Yeah, and it's powerful. Sometimes you just need to do a short, sharp change,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
not a gradual, because you're still in that energy, you're still in
yeah,
that frequency of that thing, rather than just absolutely changing lanes, maybe like going the complete opposite direction as to where
yeah.
you currently are.
Yeah. Well, I find if you move to a new area, I moved from Notting Hill, London, up to Slough. We thought we was moving to the country, so it was quite funny, really. As soon as I there, even at the age of 11, I knew I could reinvent myself. I kind of thought, as I walk into this school, nobody knows me. I can be what I want to be as I walk in. It was funny, so I was quite cocky because you are at 11 when you're reinventing yourself. And the teacher hated me, absolutely hated me. So I didn't quite get it right. But I knew I could just walk in somewhere brand new and reinvent myself. Any one of us can do that. It is that thing where, yeah, walk out on stage. You might be shaking inside, but they don't know that.
Mm,
Walk out, own it, really enjoy that persona, and it will become your reality.
I love that. That's great. That's a great kind of rejuvenating yourself, your energy, and just
Yeah, yeah,
how you want to be perceived and live your life. I love that. Yeah.
yeah. It's very cool. Very, very cool. We like that, Jen. We really like that. So I think we're living in a time where I was speaking to a business leader, and I've come across him recently. It was about 8 years ago. I said to him, we need to reinvent ourselves career-wise every 3 years.
Mm,
Otherwise, we're out of date, it's not working, and we're wondering why. And he went, yeah, and that's going to speed up. So it's probably every 18 months now we need to reinvent ourselves. And, I really feel for a lot. It's one of the reasons I like the FutureVision coaching, because I come across or working with the future stuff, because so many people in therapies are just stuck. And they've spent a fortune on trainings. They're bloody good at what they do, but there's too many people doing it. There's
mm,
just millions of people doing Reiki and cards, and it's quite funny. A girl I know, she's suddenly woke up one day and went, "I'm a healer. I've just realised that." And she was really quite a dramatic character. Anyway, she went to some event and she said, "Wait till I tell everybody I'm a healer," because she just come up with these ideas. Really comical. She walked in there, she come back, she went, there were three other healers, and she was really upset. She thought everyone would go, "Oh my God, she's a healer, look, bow down." But everybody was doing something. And that's the time we're living in. It's not a rarity. So whatever you do, there's lots of people. So I feel for all the hypnotherapists, because there's way too many. There's loads of training, some of them brilliant, some of the training's tin pot, but it's just flooded the market. So really good hypnotherapists are just going up, "I'm not seeing enough people. What am I doing wrong?" And I go, "No, it's not that you're doing anything wrong. There's just too many of you." And, you've probably got a tarot reader in every street these days, so as you didn't have years ago. So it is about that thing of, what is it about you? How I like to be ahead of the game. What's ahead of the game? Where are we aiming? Or what's unique about that person? I've just,
mm.
before we come on, I might put on a little workshop to help people find their uniqueness, their genius, their speciality, rather than being too general.
I think that's a great idea, and one that anyone would be like eating hot cross buns out your hands for. uh, as long as you eat wheat. No, but all jesting aside, it is absolutely crucial if we want to stand out from everyone else,
Mm,
find our uniqueness, and put together the skills and our unique passions as well. Like, they all end up blending into this beautiful service and offering, which is completely unique to each and
mm.
every single one. And with your help, as you've also helped me, um, with FLP and training as well. That's been a massive help for me and my business, and how I'm seeing my future and what actions I'm taking to create the future now, which is also including this podcast.
That's so good to know, and I think I love that. I love when you can work with someone and you just see their potential. They can just see the massive possibilities, but their potential, because most people have got too many things in front of them. So they're doing a bit of this and a bit of that. But you ask people what they do, and they go on for about 10 minutes, telling you anybody that's super successful. Think of somebody, and if I ask you what they do, you'll tell me in 5 words or less. And that's the difference. Everybody's just hedging their bets, jumping from one thing to the other. How do we find that their essence? Because when you're working from you, and it's your essence, then people get it. It's like when I talk to people and I say, what do you do? And I use this as part of the FutureVision coaching. What is it you do? They go, well, I do some hypnotherapy and I do some Reiki and I do some EFT and I do a bit of that. And I go, what do you do? And they just stare at me for a minute, going, I've just told her. Go, what is it you do? Use the technique that you use on politicians. You keep asking the same question. So what is it you're doing? They go, well, I do a bit. Ask it a third or fourth time, and they go, I help women that have been traumatized, or I help kids that are struggling and autistic or whatever. They go, now you've told me what you do. Nobody cares what you trained in. No, nobody cares. Why would anybody care what you trained in? Don't matter. So people do a lot of going on about their toolbox and all the stuff they've learned. Nobody cares. It's all about that focus you have on the person and that connection, and you seeing inside them, and then you go, I know exactly what I need to do with you. I love that when people contact me and they say, I want an appointment, but I don't know what I need. And I go, within 5 minutes, we will know. We will talk, and within 5 minutes, we will know. And as soon as you talk to me, you go, yeah, you need to clear the past. Yeah, you need to find your drug. Within a few minutes, you've just got that. And that's the bit. Then once they know, they can actually start moving forward. Otherwise, next year, the year after, they're no further down the road.
Yeah. And you need to have that. You need to have clarity. You need to have the vision.
Yeah.
And then, and I love the kinds of questions is like, what can I do now to help me achieve what I've got in 5 or 10 years time. And then you've got a direct line with yourself, and you're getting absolute hindsight in present moment, so you can take action. So yeah, it's amazing, really, and it saves so much time and energy.
It really does. And you can waste so much time on the wrong thing. I've got one person, they're not in the UK, and whatever she goes and trains in, she'll spend thousands. She'll go halfway across the world to learn some new modality. As soon as she does, half a dozen other people from her small country go and do the same. So it doesn't matter what she does. They all just swamp and copy her. So there are all these trainers. There's just too many trainers. They're watching her the whole time. And that's the thing. I think, go and find something that's so unique. Don't tell everybody. Don't tell them who you train with. Just go out and find something unique. So what I've come up by me and her looking into the future, we're going to develop something that only we do. Go on then. Go on then. Go on then. Go and find where she trained with that, because it's with me and I'm not going to train you. Because they're really not being fair to her. And it's that thing. What is that? A lot of people have got they say don't die with your music inside you, which is why I've been thinking about putting on this workshop. So I think it would be really good finding people's genius, magic. Don't die with, most people die with their music inside them. Most people do. They're so busy faffing about with this and getting waylaid by that and distracted by that and having a row on Facebook, then watching a YouTube channel, then playing that, and I've got on this new course that I'm never going to finish or use. And it's this jumbled. How about we go to the thing? And do you know what's interesting with that, Jen? Some people will go to their big picture, they'll find it, and it'll scare the shit out of them. That's the interesting bit, that some people will think, well, yeah, oh, that's fantastic. I'd really love to do that. and then all the imposter syndrome comes in, and then all the nervousness or what other people. So that's the other aspect that we work with, is creating the energy of the future you to bring back now. The future you don't give a stop. They're doing it. They're loving it. They're up there. But getting that energy and bringing it back so you can actually step into that energy every day, that's the real magic to what we do.
Absolutely. And you can get that by having a future life progression session.
Oh, absolutely. Give
Or
Jen
coming to one or many of your lovely workshops as well. They're always they always blow my mind. So yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Do you know one of the things I've said, which I find interesting, is it attracts the right people. Now, if I was to put on, say, training hypnotherapy or stop smoking, you have this wide range of people with different expectations, but not everybody gets that you can slip around in time or you can tap into the future. Most people are too stuck to know that. So the people that come on the training, they get it. And so it's amazing how, you become part of a tribe. And what I find amazing is how the practitioners will suddenly, I know with you, you've come on some of the training and later on people have gone, can you give me Jen's number? I really liked her. And there's that connection where you've met them later and you've really connected beautifully. Now, I love that. I love that we're all on that same wavelength. So I did a training in London once, and it was in conjunction with somebody who was promoting me. And I said, if anybody wants to be an assistant, we're going to have a big group here. We're going to have about 40 people. So if anybody wants, so we had loads of people. And when they walked in, they sort of sashayed in, and you just like, wow, they look so cool that the audience that was about to train would go, wow, I want some of that. It was so cool.
It is interesting because you are bringing that future energy of yourself that's already done it into now. So even if you were to look 5 years into the future, yeah, like your experiences as well, they happen so much faster.
Yeah.
And then you become your best version.
Yeah, very, very quickly. And you stop wasting time, but you do have that energy, that belief of your future. It's a bit like if you sit there now and think of something you struggled with 10 years ago, but you're good at now. And if you go back and say, this is what it feels like, you're rocking this in the future. So feel it, feel what it feels like. Straight away, something in you shifts. And that we're doing it the other way. We're going to our future and bringing that into now, going, yeah. You've got to be able to feel it and see it and experience it on some level to know that you can do it. And that's one of the problems we got today. People are trying to progress from where they are now with their current energy. And that is part of the problem. Their current energy is held back. And one of the big things that holds people back is worrying what other people think. I think everyone's got a brother-in-law or a brother or a sister or a mate that goes, well, that ain't going to work. Oh, that's silly. And that holds people back. And I often say, do you think Tony Robbins or Elon Musk or Paul Getty ever worried about what some vague relative or the bloke next door thought? They don't. They didn't care. They're just irrelevant. And it's very important to get to that point where you go, they're irrelevant. But I stopped telling people what I was doing. I know when I first said I was going to write a book, a few people around me laughed. They gave a little laugh. Yeah, of course you are. And then when the book came out, they didn't laugh then. They went very quiet. And that's the difference. Don't justify yourself and keep telling them I'm going to do this. Look at this big thing I'm going to do. Don't tell them. It disperses the energy. You just go and do it. Then they go, oh, I heard you were doing so-and-so. Did it with my ex, actually. He borrowed my car. His car was off the road. So I said, well, pick me up. I'm doing this event. Didn't take any notice. He got there early and walked into this hall, and I'm on stage. And it's just this massive audience. He's just sitting there and he went, I had no idea you did all that. I had no idea. So much cooler when they find out other ways, isn't it?
Yeah, not direct.
Yeah. Don't justify. When people go, I'll tell you what I learned from Greta, my spiritual teacher, but Stuart Wilde said much the same. And I love this. They go, oh, people say, oh, that thing you do is a bit silly. You go, yeah, I think you're probably right. When you agree with them, it dissolves people. We always find ourselves in our early days justifying or kind of go, no, it really works. And I had this lady the other day, and she said, as soon as you do all that, you're in a week, you're weak. You're weak. As soon as you go, yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. I'm sure you're right. And it's really interesting when you start to agree with them. Oh, that stuff's nonsense. You're wasting your time. Go, yeah, and I'll probably waste more time on it in the future as well. They stop saying anything because they don't know what to do. I use it when people ever say, "Oh, you're expensive." You go, "Yeah, you're right. I'm going to put my prices up." And they go, I found this very hard at first, but once you get into it, it's actually highly amusing. Okay, yeah. No, yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I'm going to put my, like, no. I'm saying you're expensive. I go, yeah, but whenever somebody says that, I have to keep putting my prices up. And they just flow. So it's
I love
coming
that.
in at a different angle, and it takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you do, it opens up something fabulous. It opens up this fabulous energy, and it's immense fun.
Yeah. I suppose it's a bit like when you agree with them, it's like an instant mirroring back to them what they
Mm-mm.
said to themselves. So even that, like an energy thing, it's like, yeah, sure, and it's just like ding. It's like
You're
I'm not
not
doing
doing what
that.
they expect, are you? You know, they're expecting you to go, oh, no, but they're doing it to get a reaction out of you, or it makes them feel a bit big. When they don't get the reaction they're expecting, and it's quite amusing when people go, I did it with my mother, actually. I stopped telling her anything that was happening in my life. It was quite funny because she heard me on the radio. I was being interviewed. I didn't know she listened to this show. All of a sudden, I'm on this show. And they're going, oh, you've just come back from Japan. And I hadn't told her anything. I hadn't told her anything. Yeah, she was really annoyed. I told her anything. It's quite funny. She didn't say anything to me. She phoned up my oldest daughter and went, your mother didn't tell me she'd been here and she'd done that, and she didn't tell me.
It's
Just
just like she didn't even try and tell you that.
it's just yeah, just go change of energy, shift that energy. But your future self is uninterested by the things that bother us, and that's the thing. Things that we that hold us back don't hold back our future self. Our future self has huge backup. You know, has got enough people backing them up that it changes. You gain that confidence. You tap into that
Mm,
future you who's all confident and out there and doing amazing things. And the shift is phenomenal. It's wonderful.
mm. It's very profound actually, because every time I do it, whether I'm receiving an FLP session or I'm facilitating one,
Mm,
the it's so profound, and
mm,
I'm always changed after every single one. It doesn't matter if it just being in that in this kind of sphere of time, being able to
mm,
traverse around, feeling very like so much love, so much like certainty and strength and safety. And it's that same feeling of that, where that in the future, how things are there, like things feel more certain, things there's so much more clarity. I know,
mm.
I mean, this year is the frequency of 9, so it is the completion and endings. And you did a fantastic facilitate, or Ray came on, Raf, sorry, came on to do his astrology for
I
2025.
must put that back out there again because that was so good. I mean, he's always brilliant, but that's so good. And I keep meaning to put the link out as a standalone. I didn't put it in newsletter because there was so much in the newsletter, but I must put it out as a standalone. I'll probably do that over the weekend because it was so good. Raf's always brilliant with the astrology. What I love is that he talks about it in real terms. There's some astrologers, they get all technical and they go, the left node of the Neptune of this and and you just go, yeah, but is it a good year? People loved Jonathan Caner, didn't they? They absolutely loved him, but I never knew what he was on about. He'd go, well, there's a train at the station and it might stop at the next station, but it might, it might. I didn't go, what are you on about? So I'm very much a bullet point, talk straight. So I really like Raphael, just tell you it like, And funny enough, the AI crowd really started to take notice last year because he predicted that on a specific date there'd be a massive outage. And there was. And one of the top AI guys contacted me when I saw that video that when you mentioned this guy, because I put a snippet of it out. I think you might have taken a section for us because I got a clue how to do it. And we put it out there. And one of the AI guys went, he was really shocked. He went, that is so precise. And I went, yeah, Raf's really good. He's really good. He's going to be well famous, that boy. I know it is.
And in it, and I love the way he explains it too, because I get quite lost, if I'm honest. There's so much, and I'm like, yeah, but is it a good? What have I got to watch out for?
He tells you, he absolutely nails it. So it's really, really good. I keep meaning to. I've had a lot happens so far this year, but I mean that's one of my key things I'm going to put out there and send it out to everyone. So because it's so darn good, so darn good.
Well, I can put it on the description for this video as well. Because
brilliant, yeah. If you would, yeah, I've got a link. Yeah, do. It'd be really good. Yeah, really worth people, really worth sitting back with a cup of tea and just listening because he's very accurate, and I love that. It just gives you the best time to do things, the best time not to. This is what's going to really be enhanced. This is the time not to. And it really makes a lot of sense. And I have learned to listen. I found just with Mercury retrograde, I have noticed it's not that everything's a disaster, but you are going to get more hassle. But one thing I've noticed is your numbers are down. If you put on an event during Mercury, you definitely get less people. You just get less people during that time. So it's worth, if you've got an option. I mean, I travelled when I was touring in South Africa. I had a gig and a flight a day. It was mad. You'd arrive at a hotel, you'd do the gig, have a sleep, get up next morning, off to the airport, because that's how they travel, because it's a big country where we'd hop on a train. It's all flights. And every flight was on time. The flights were all brilliant, but the numbers were down. The numbers were down, even though when I arrived there, it wasn't Mercury in retrograde. We filled huge halls, absolutely massive. People going, how did you get so many people? Or the radio shows. As soon as Mercury retrograde kicked in, the numbers dropped. And it was really odd how you suddenly saw that shift as soon as Mercury retrograde. So I've learned to take it into consideration.
That's an important thing, but yeah, seeing where the planets are in relation to how you're planning as well, and that's useful in the kind of the minutiae, the details as well. I suppose, however, we receive information that will help us to build our future and serve to our best possible ability to the most amount. And it does involve having to be calculated and have have all your ducks in a row to the best of your abilities, at least.
I think we definitely for the future need to simplify, and I think we need to have a clear vision of where we're going. Most people are going to run around in circles or juggle too many things, and you don't make progress. You look at successful people, they really focus on their goal. They know exactly what they're working on and where they want to take it. And I think having that complete focus, they're the people that are going to do well. It's not the people that do well are going to be the people that know where they're going, not necessarily the people that are good with people or good at what they're. Forget all that. We're all good at stuff. It is that having that clear focus and direction and knowing where you're heading and working to a plan. Simplify. It's all about and if you're offering something to people, keep it simple. Really keep it. Most people overcomplicate and use fancy words because they think it sounds clever. Just keep it really, look at the big shots. They keep it simple. Their words are simple. They don't do big elaborate stuff. They tell you exactly what they're doing. Their techniques are simple. And people try and be too clever and complicate. And people are so overwhelmed and overloaded, their heads are overloaded, lives so much busier that somebody that comes along and simplifies for them, they're going to want. Something that makes life easier and simpler, because our brain filters haven't caught up with the time we're in. So
Yeah.
we need that. Just calm everything down. If you can make people calm and find an easier way for them, they will love you. People think they've got to do some smart, clever stuff, and it's not. It's not. What people want is to simplify and have life a bit easier. It's changed, hasn't it? It's changed over time. It's like people have had these holidays where they're on tour and they're here and they're there. They're now going, I just want to sit under a tree. It's just because they're so busy. I just want to sit under a tree. I just want something simple, a log cabin. I watch people always overly busy and they've suddenly changed what they want.
I suppose it gives you quite a lot of contrast. Be like, I have been doing this, I could be doing this, but do I want to be doing this? Or to this extent?
Yeah.
I love this podcast as well because I get to meet so many wonderful souls along the way, and I'm learning too, and hopefully people watching will be taking golden nuggets away with them for them to, it will change them in some small way or some large way, who knows. But I love that I don't even need to leave the house right now to be able to have these interactions. And yeah, it's knowing, finding work life balance is really important, really important. Something that I feel definitely in the last few years has been a massive shift, whether people wanted it or not, working from home. So everything's changing, culture wise, working wise, family wise, it's up.
What people want from you now, they might want something different in 5 years' time. So what do you need to be focusing on so you're ready? And it's funny how we can be a little bit ahead of our time. It's funny because my book, Cosmic Energy, that I wrote, God, it must have been over 10 years ago. And the publisher, and I'm not even with that publisher anymore, they contacted me and said, everybody wants this subject. We want to re-release it under a different name. And I went, yeah, go for it. And it's funny because it did incredibly well at the time, really did well. But it's almost like it did really well then, but it's going to really be popular as a future book. So it's written, and I'm just hearing it's coming out in other countries. I didn't even know, but just somebody phoned me up from Singapore and went, oh, I've just bought your book in a shop. And I went, oh, okay, didn't know it was there, but very nice. So it's that you can be a little bit ahead of yourself sometimes, but at least you're ready. So something new comes out, you're ready when everybody else is still living in the old energy, they're living in the past, doing what they've always done. You know that saying, keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. Don't work anymore. You're going to slip backwards. Keep doing what you're doing. You're going to slip backwards. You need to be focused on the future and be reinventing yourself simply and keeping that eye on what's the future trend. How can I be my best version of myself in the future? How can that be? So you're moving towards your best future self, rather than jumping around a lot.
Yeah, and getting distracted.
Distraction's huge. It's the huge problem. We all get distracted. It's huge.
Yeah, but again, distractions, if you come back to the base, like the small parts, it's a form of energy. So it's like, what are you choosing to observe and what are you choosing to absorb? And if you're constantly absorbing too much, then of course you're going to be tired and drained and
People
scrolling
are trying to
constantly.
learn everything, read everything. I mean, I remember back in the 80s, I went to a meeting that was for salespeople. I get dragged along to things, and it was for people. And the guy up on stage, everyone had to bring a pen and paper, and he said, "You all know 200 people. Write down the 200 people." And he left us for an hour, and we really struggled. In the end, you're writing down the milkman and the lady that works in the green. You run out. Now you've got thousands. You pick up your phone and goes, thousands there, thousands there, thousands there. The outreach, but that's all more energy and distraction. And we'll do it. I went to look for a picture that I'd put on in my camera, a picture I'd taken. But I ended up looking at stuff on TikTok and I'm going, that's not what I picked my phone up for. Why am I on TikTok going, oh, look, so-and-so's having a good time in Italy. Why am I doing that? That wasn't what I went on there. I needed to send that picture to somebody. And that's what happens with all of us all the time. Get on a train in London, everyone's twitching. Especially young people, they're twitching. Their legs are doing this. They're twitching the whole time. And they've put that down to social media constantly overstimulated.
Mm. Yeah, everyone's nervous systems are shot from the sounds of it.
Yeah. Absolutely. So you go somewhere peaceful and it feels weird. It now feels weird to be somewhere peaceful, to just be relaxing. It is weird. It takes some time to not do anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Practicing nothingness is quite an art for the ADHDers or the people that are just constantly busy or constantly on devices. Yeah, but it's good. It's a really good practice to have actually. And
That's when you get your ideas. That's when your best ideas come. But I find but this has always been an issue. When I went to Goa all those years ago, we arrived and there's just the beach. We used to have to get water out the well. There was no, I mean, it's different now. It's a big holiday resort. There was no electricity. So when it got dark, you'd have to light a candle. There was nothing there. And when we arrived there, this guy, and you had these funny little straw houses you lived in, this guy said the hardest thing is getting used to having nothing to do. And that was really, really a strange thing. So it's always been a thing where we are almost programmed to be busy all the time, but it's 1,000-fold, it's 1,000,000-fold these days that we're so busy now and active. It's 1,000-fold to just stop. And I find not doing anything a bit odd. So I find just walking, don't have the things in, don't have them ear pod or whatever they are things in. I've always got people walking out in front of me when I'm in the car because they've got ear pods in or on their bike, they jump the lights, their awareness is gone, that they're not aware. Just stop, go for a walk. Walking, you'd be amazed. It seems to stimulate that visionary part of you, the ideas. Now, from that last book, FutureVision, Your Working Life, I interviewed Chris Perez-Brown. He's one of these people. He's brilliant. He's an absolutely brilliant guy. And he's one of these people that really brings out your creativity. And he said he went traveling all over the world trying to find out how do we find out. He was already hugely successful. He won awards. And he just went, no, I'm missing something here. And he traveled all over the world trying to allow his mind to set. When he come back, went, no, my head's still not doing what I want it to do. And he found going for a walk. And that was it. He started to get the ideas pop in the shower. That's when they pop in. Just stopping doing things. But of course, we're on the train. Wherever we are, we got these iPods in or we got something good or we're on the phone. Letting go of all that and just going for a walk or something. I would say a bike ride, but bike riders drive me mad. We've got a lot around our way, so I'm not encouraging people. But that swimming, anything where it's just you, a movement and a beautiful movement. And that then, so I like to go for a little walk every day and I take a dictaphone because I'll have ideas. And by the time, that's how I've written most of my books. Dictaphone, go for a walk. I could do 500 or 1,000 words when I'm walking. I suddenly go, oh, I've just thought of this great exercise. Oh, I've just thought of this. Put it in the dictaphone, type it up when I get back. And that is just having that, as you say, that piece to create something.
I love that. That's a really great exercise if you are writing a book or you need to express something from you, whether it's your story. And I know I've heard this before, and it's even if you were to write your own book, if you have your own story, just writing it, even if you weren't to release it, but even that in itself is a very cathartic way of processing what has happened. And it's like a real closing the book, closing the chapter on the past as well. That's for the writers out there. But
like the journaling, isn't it? Some people like to sit and journal. I find going for a walk or something like going for a walk or sitting in a coffee shop, leaving the phone alone, and you find things start to flow to you. You get that. It sets something off within you and sometimes you're receiving information when you walk in. Sometimes you go, I didn't know that, or that's a thought from outside of me. And it sparks up this whole train of thought and awareness and creativity.
How do you know when you're receiving something that is outside of you and not from like you?
I tell you, for me, it's because you think, I don't talk like that. I that's not words I use. That is not how I speak. So it's almost like, oh, I didn't already know that.
Mm.
So I think the information kit, sometimes it's from us, sometimes it's from outside of us. It's just whatever way it comes. Sometimes intuition is our brain just processing information, and we think we've had some flash from outside of us, but our brains have the ability to process information. I'll give you an example. It was many years ago, somebody went missing. A guy went missing. And I said, I know where he is. And I mentioned this place where he'd worked, and it was practically derelict, but I knew he was there. And they went, oh my God, you were so right. You were psychic. And I went, that actually wasn't. It's just that I knew he was very nearby there, and he's so sodding lazy. There's no way he's going to run off and go any distance. That's there. There was a couple of comfortable rooms in this derelict house. I just know he's lazy. There was another case where a girl went missing. I knew the family, and the boy was seeing this girl, and she went missing. And then they got this phone call just going, oh my God, I've been kidnapped. And the phone went down. The police were called. They called in this psychic who went, oh no, I've seen these people. And they took her away. And I went, I don't believe her. I just don't believe her. But now you'd think that was being psychic. I went, no, she's made that up to cover up for something she's done. And she had made it up. She'd been seeing some bloke. When the police, she said she was, some guy jumped in her car and forced her to drive up the motorway. Of course, they checked the cameras. The car hadn't gone up the motorway. The whole thing was a complete lie. But you'd think that was being psychic. But I know every so often she'd say something, she'd give a little smirk. And it was very slight. It's like micro expressions, but she'd give a little smirk. Like they go, oh, you went to work the other day and you did so and so, so and so. She'd go, yeah. And there'd be this slight smirk. And so I always thought, you're very, very sneaky liar and you're scary person. So sometimes we think we're being intuitive, and it is actually part of our brain processing that can process. We don't even know at the time we're processing. We go, I don't believe her. So I said it. Then when I thought back, I thought, yeah, she gives that little smirk every so often.
Mm. But isn't that wonderful as well? Those, again, it's that awareness, and you're taking in through all of your senses, and you're also listening to your own inner intuition that says something doesn't feel right, and then you probe further. Oh yeah, it's because I'm seeing small micro expressions coming through.
I've analysed intuition. So what started, my nan was well known as a psychic. She read the tea leaves in the East End of London, so she's quite well known. So I wanted that, and I used to try, and I never had anything, never, not even by guesswork or fluke, but I knew it worked. So part of my journey when I went to India was to go and discover how it works. I've spent my life analysing intuition because it's not a one size fits all. So I do kind of spend a lot of time going, okay, now that is something you couldn't possibly know. How? It's like Ascot. When I go to Ascot, every year I've won big. Every year I've won big. If I go into bookies, I don't win. But when I go to Ascot, I win. So you analyse, how did you know which one? What is it? Some people pick the name because it's their uncle's name or the name of their dog that died or whatever. And there's loads of different methods. So what I do, I find I usually win big on the first three races, maybe the first four, and then it dies off. So what am I doing in that first four? How am I processing that information in order to win big? So it is how analysing what you do, and then you can go, okay, now I know how that works. I can do more of it. I'm thinking of putting together some really good training on intuition. I've really had a strong feeling to do that recently. Just I've got a whole bunch of really core, the science to it and everything else. So I'm really thinking of putting something really good together.
I love that. And actually so needed right now because discernment is very much required
Yeah.
for
Mm.
everything. I
Mm.
mean, AI is fantastic. It's getting really kind of challenging to see what's real and what's not with it as well. And that's only going to develop too, as well as everything else that's going on around us in the world today. So,
100%. And people are very caught up in their echo chambers. So
yeah.
they ran, and I put up on Facebook a couple of days ago, people who keep putting up, if you don't agree with me, then unfollow me now, because I didn't doing this big drama. And you just go, you might be wrong. I don't care what your belief system is, or who you like, or who you don't, or whatever it is. You could be wrong. How do you know? How do you know? They get that up, but a lot of it is there's something in them that's not happy. It's Alvin Toffler. I must reread his stuff because it's from memory from many decades ago. But he said we'll come to a point when we've got an even playing field. So once you've got the even playing field, if people don't succeed, then they're going to be really pissed. They're going to be so angry. And I've thought of going back over some of his work, and because he predicted so much about when he predicted it, there was no sign of this. So he was really visionary.
Mm.
So the fact that we got anybody can start a business. If you got a phone, you can start a business. You can set up PayPal, YouTube channel. You can set up everything. You can monetize. You can actually set up any business for nothing. And now that years ago, you go to the bank with I had businesses when I was really young. Go to the bank and you'd have your proposal, and they'd look you up and down and probably not give you money, and then you borrow some off your uncle. It was really hard. Now you can start a business. The fact you can and you don't succeed, people get angry. So people are more frustrated with their lives, and they look for the bogeyman to blame. And the bogeyman can be any left, right, in the middle. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The bogeyman, the anger, but it's them that's the problem.
Yeah. And when those emotions settle and they're able to look at themselves to be like, I think I just need more clarity about how I could be doing things better. I think that, that bit more humbleness, bit more
Yeah.
passion for yourself and your project. Things can take longer than they might. It might just be a timing thing, just like you said.
Yeah.
So, and that comparison to others and that judgment and feeling like you have to validate yourselves just for existing, I feel like that's such an area that if people were to just totally release giving any effort, energy, or time thinking about what other people might judge you, is like just to literally ignore everybody else. Concentrate and focus on how can you be the best version of yourself and get clarity and work towards your dreams to make them a reality. Like that's how people don't need to remain in these angry trauma loops thinking
it's easy to sit there moaning on Facebook all day, isn't it? It's easy to sit there bitching and moaning all day rather than, and the worst thing is they know they create that reality. They know they are creating their realities. They're just creating more disharmony. But start putting that energy into something positive and, think about your legacy. I suppose the thing I'd like to leave people with is think about your legacy. You want something magical to leave behind. You don't want to go, oh yeah, she did all these different things. Yeah, she did a bit of tap dancing and a bit of weaving and yeah. No, what is your legacy? What is that thing you want to be known for, remembered for, that you left something, don't die with your music inside you. Have something magical out there in the world. And I love working with people and helping them find that bit of magic.
Yeah.
Making it happen.
And you do, with thousands of lovely souls around the world. So
Thank you.
Keep up your amazing work, and more people, please go check out Anne and her work and her videos.
Thank you. No, it's wonderful. And I'm so happy you've started podcast, because I know you're going to draw incredible people, and you've got a lovely way of talking and opening people up. So yeah, it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be a great success. So well done.
Thank you very much. Well, you're welcome anytime you'd like to come and have a chat, have a tea and a chat.
Thank you.
And put the
Thank
worlds to right. Do you have any final gems or last things you'd like to say?
I feel like I want people to just stop and think about what they can. I tell you what I've lived by since I was a teenager, because I've come from no money, tough times. Do what you can with what you have, where you are now. Roosevelt. That one quote has carried me throughout my whole life. Do what you can, what you have, where you are now. That has carried me. And if you just stop right now and think, okay, what can I do right now? Because we will go, well, when I've got more money, I can do that. And when I've got more time, I can do that. And I need that before I can do that. No, what can you do right now? And I'd love people to think about. And if you don't know, see Jen, see somebody and get a vision of your future, and then go, right, how can I move? What's the one thing I can do today to move that forward? And if you think of that and move with that, you'll make some incredible, your life will take this amazing shift.
Yeah, certainly will. Thank you, Anne. How can people reach you and contact you?
Well, I'm not shy, so get my name. I'm on Facebook and TikTok and this and that and the other. Email me, because I'll make sure you get my newsletters, because I always do some free stuff in my newsletters. I've got a training coming up for FLP at the end of April. But yeah, look me up, annejirsch.com. You'll find me. I'm about, because I love connecting with people. So yeah, touch base. Let me say hi.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. And thank you for everyone watching. And please be sure to like, share, subscribe, and share solutions with your friends and family. And thank you. All right. Bye for now.